to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. What an interesting week it's been around the world with all the political stuff that's going on from country to country, and, a president's too old, or people this or people that. What's the world coming to? That we take into consideration somebody's age or whether or not they can do a job these days. And, here home in Australia, of course, we've got our own domestic issues as like everybody else in every other country around the world. And we've got lots of weather events happening, as I know that they are around the world. And it seems to be all too frequently we're talking about weather events. There's one in 100 years, there's one in 50 years that seem to be coming a lot quicker than 150 years. And maybe that's something that we all need to be sort of thinking about and looking at. Anyway, the Simply Tarot card of the week this week is the Emperor. Now, this is the card of stability or stabilizing influence coming into your life. Now, wouldn't that be nice if we had some stability coming into our lives, particularly in the political arena? That'd be lovely, but that might be a stretch too far. Maybe I'm going into the wishing well there. But for us mere mortals, the rest of us around the world, it's a positive card to come out because it's saying that finally we're going to gain some stability in our lives, that, there's stabilizing influences coming in. So if you've been feeling a little bit as if your life's been a little bit out of control lately and that you haven't been able to sort of ground everything or pull everything to a point that you can sort of take a deep breath and sort of exhale and just sort of say, I can chill for a little minute. Now, this is the card that we're looking for those sort of circumstances, is to sort of put the brakes on things a little bit, bring a little bit of stability, give us a little bit of breathing space, time to think, time to regroup, time to sort of reorganize ourselves and say, okay, this is a positive card. We're now back in the driver's seat. We're back in control. That we are now starting to create some stabilizing influences in our lives, and our lives will start to move forward again very shortly. And that's a really positive thing because lots of people have been feeling as if this year so far has been a little bit out of control for them. So we're going to move on to the astrology section of the show, and it's really interesting because most of the planetary configuration is stuck between three signs. Now, this isn't an uncommon thing to happen in astrology where you see everything sort of all group up together. What it means is the intensity or the energy is really focusing just on three signs, which is Pisces, Aries and Taurus. That's where all the planets are sitting at the moment between them, and it's a real concentration for anybody born under those signs. So Pisces is the opposite sign of Pisces is Virgo, so it brings in the Virgo energy as well as the Cancer and the Scorpio energy. So you need to be aware of that if I'm talking about Pisces, which I'm going to start the show off with. The sun's still in Pisces at the moment, so happy birthday to all the darling little Pisceans. And, we're nearing the end of the Pisces reign for the year. And I find this is sort of like it's like the end of a calendar year. It's the end of the astrological year. So it's time that we've got to get things straightened out, sorted out, moved along, complete anything that we haven't done. It's like our second chance at sort of completing last year. This is the astrological year ending for 2023. So, even though it's in 2024, it's our 2023-2024 end of the astrological year. So make sure that you do sort of make your completion phases, tidy up loose ends, tidy up anything that's outstanding, and get fresh and get ready for the new astrological year that'll be starting shortly. So the sun is actually conjunct or holding hands Neptune. Now, a lot of astrologers sort of allude to Neptune as just being the planet of illusion and delusion, sometimes a little bit of trickery. I like to look at Neptune in a much, much more positive way because I feel it has much more to offer than just being an illusion or delusion. I think it's a planet of creativity. It motivates us. It gives us daydreams. It gives us dreams of a night. It gives us that ability to think outside the square. And sometimes we need to do that. We need to find creative solutions in our lives to our problems that we might be experiencing, or the next thing that we need to work on, or it may just be in the work that we get paid for that we are required to be incredibly creative because it's part of our role. So, Neptune has an important role in a chart because it's where our creativity comes from. So when it's conjunct or holding hands the sun, it means it really amplifies that. So if you are particularly one of the water signs, now's the time to shine. Now's the time time to come out from behind that bushel and say, hey, I'm here. This is what I can offer. This is what I bring to the table. Not necessarily blowing your own trumpet and saying, aren't I clever, but just showing people and sharing with people what you are capable of. It's a very positive sort of calming sort of energy. And a lot of people underestimate the power of the Pisces, that, you know, they say Pisces are like two fish chasing their tail, never achieving anything. Nothing could be further from the truth. In my opinion, and I've been working with astrology for a very long time now, what I find is that the Pisces energy, or people that are born under the sign of Pisces, have the ability to tap into the power of the previous 11 signs. So not only do they have their own wisdom, they're able to cherry pick wisdom from the other signs when need be. It's like, oh, just pop over here to Virgo and pick up a bit of this, and while I'm on my way through, I'll get a bit out of Sagittarius or Aquarius at the same time and bring this knowledge and this wisdom back to me, and then I'll apply it in my own way and I'll make it my own. So that it is actually a very powerful sign. A lot of astrologers affectionately call it the dustbin. I don't. I call it the creative bin, because it's where that they can tap into all the resources of the whole zodiac. So I hope that helps you understand Pisceans a little bit more. We also have Venus, the planet of love and affection, is sitting in Pisces at the moment, just gone into Pisces. So this is going to bring out into the open, I think, people's fascination, people's love affair with things like music, the arts, going to the ballet, anything that's of a creative level. People are going to start to find that they're sort of yearning to get a bit of creativity, get a bit of, you know, something joyful in their soul. For those that are seeking love, and it doesn't matter what your star sign is, maybe you need to be looking for love in those sort of parts. Go to somewhere that's creative. Go to something that's going to put a bit of zing in your step, something that feeds your soul. And you're more likely to meet somebody then that suits your personality, that, you know, is interested in the same things that you're interested in. There's no point in going to, say, a basketball match unless you feel that that's creative for you. And it might be, that might be where you get your creative juices flow from, basketball, or going to a football match, or going to gridiron or tennis or golf or whatever it may be. You know, it doesn't always have to be to the theatre or to the opera or to the ballet or to a concert. It's whatever you feel gets your creative juices flowing. So we want to attract somebody, if you're looking for new love in your life, we want to attract somebody that is a like-minded soul. Now, we're going to move on to the Aries section of the reading. Now, at the moment, we're going to be working with what's known as not necessarily planets, but different parts of astrology. The first part is going to be the Moon's North Node. Now, the Moon's North Node is where we all aspire to improve ourselves. What we've come into this life, and we're aiming for the stars. This is what we're aiming to do. Now, even though it's in Aries, and it's going to affect Aries and the opposite sign of Libra, Leo and Sagittarius, I want to take this right across the board for the whole 12 signs, because we all need to be aspiring to and trying to achieve to become the very, very, very best people that we can become in this lifetime. Now, sometimes the only way that we achieve that is we've got to go through some hard lessons. We've got to go through some changes in our lives. We've got to go through the hurts, the positives and the negatives in our lives to make us a better person. Now, the Moon's North Node is actually conjunct or holding hands, one of the what's known as not a planet, and it's not necessarily technically an Arabian part, even though it comes under that sort of heading. It's Chiron, the planet. To me, I feel it should be another planet. That is the wounded healer. It's where we find where we've been hurt, particularly in a past life, or what we come into this life to learn. It's what is wounded, what is broken, what needs to be fixed, what do we need to work on. So the North Node here is showing us the way forward. It's showing us how we can heal ourselves, how we can fix that wounded part in us, the part that might be broken, the part that we always stumble or trip over. And, you know, whether it's relationships or communications or jobs or whatever it might be, and it might be a combination of all of the above. It's showing us the way forward, that we can heal this, we can mend it, we can make it better, we can aspire to become a better person. And the only person that can heal ourselves is ourselves. Yes, we can go to to a medical practitioner, we can go to a spiritual guidance counselor, we can have all the different alternative complementary therapies done. But unless we're prepared to try and heal ourselves and work with ourselves and say, okay, I have a physical pain. Is that physical pain coming from a metaphysical level, or is it truly that I've got a physical pain because I've had an accident or an injury, or there's something wrong? Is the universe trying to tell me to go to a doctor and get it checked out? That's the physical pain. I'm talking more about emotional pain and the things that we need to rectify in our lives. Physical pain should never be ignored. You should always go and seek medical advice for that and, find out how to best treat it or how to learn to cope with it. So that's in Aries. So the Aries energy is asking us to put ourselves first, is that we have to be number one in our own universe. And that's really, really important. So I want you to focus on that this week. And I also want you to focus on that the moon, the emotional planet, is in Aries for the next couple of days. So be aware your emotions might be a little bit fiery, outspoken, a little bit snappy, snarly. You might be in your own headspace trying to sort out, what things in your life need straightening out. And somebody's interrupted that. Just make sure you don't put your snappy voice on. Try and be kind and gentle to people as well that are around you. Finally, I'm going to work with the Taurus section that I was talking about, which is the planet Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, opportunity, and luck. And yes, it's going to affect Tauruses, the opposite sign of Scorpio, Virgos and Capricorns, but it is flowing on to all the other signs as well, maybe not quite in such a big way. So Jupiter is actually conjunct Uranus. Now, Jupiter is the planet of expansion and opportunity, as I've just spoken about, but Uranus is like the planet that's like the bolt of lightning. It comes out of nowhere. It can literally strike the ground and sort of make changes. If you're stuck in a rut, this is a great opportunity to get yourself out of the rut, because Uranus comes along and goes bang, change. But with it being in Taurus, it can sometimes get a little bit stuck here, because the Taurian energy is fixed, it's determined, it's slow, it doesn't like change, it likes to keep everything that's theirs, doesn't like to share. It says all the money's mine, all the possessions are mine, and what's yours is mine. Now, Uranus here is saying, if you want to hang on to everything so grimly, so tightly, and not share, if that's what's meant to be, then you may just find that you're going to lose. You may just find that, all of a sudden, Jupiter's going to turn around and say to Uranus, well, hang on a minute, this person's being a bit greedy, or they're hanging on to too much that's not rightfully theirs. If that's the case, let's level the playing field. Let's take it off them and give it to someone else. It's a little bit like Robin Hood at the moment, taking from the rich and giving to the poor, because that's who deserves it. So if you're one of those star signs that I particularly spoke about, an earth sign or the opposite sign of Scorpio, then you need to be aware of this. Don't hang on too grimly, too tightly to something that may not necessarily be technically yours. Just because you believe it is and you believe you should be able to retain it doesn't mean that you can do so, because Jupiter is coming here and saying, okay, we've got to spread this right out. We've got to open up everything. We've got to share the wealth. We've got to share everything around. And sometimes sharing wealth is sharing wealth of ideas. It's not always about money. So I hope you've enjoyed the astrology section. We're now going to move on to the next part of the show, and we're going to take our first caller, which is Charmaine in Bristol in England. Are you there, Charmaine?
Hello.
Hi, Charmaine. Do you have a question I can answer for you, please?
No, not really.
Oh, okay. But most people call into the show.
I don't know. I've got many. I don't know. I was just hoping for a general reading, to be honest.
Well, general readings are really difficult when we've only got a couple of minutes. That's why I usually ask if you've got a question. Usually people phone into the show because they're changing their job. They want to move fast. They want to know about love.
So, I'm in a long-distance relationship, and lately I've been curious to know whether it's something that will last or if it's something I need to end. I've been really struggling with that.
Okay. Do you mind just sharing with me that person's first initial? I don't need their name, just their first initial.
T.
Okay. Just so I'll make sure I tune into the right person. Really, really interesting, because what you're sort of experiencing and what you've been sort of feeling about the relationship, the other person has been feeling the same thing too. And it's like neither one wants to be the first to mention it. It's sort of like, I'm really struggling with this. I can't see a long, a future with a long distance relationship without one or the other person making huge sacrifices. And I don't know that either
Yeah.
one of you is prepared to do that. And that's no disrespect to either one of you. That's being honest about, well, look, hang on a minute. I'm happy with my life here in England, and that's where I want to stay. And the other person is feeling exactly the same about their location. Look, I do feel that
Okay.
this relationship will come to an end, and I don't think it's going to come to an end in a bad way. I think it's just going to be one of you is going to sort of blurt
Amicable.
something out, and that sort of opens up
Yeah.
the opportunity for conversation about what's been going through your mind and also what's been going through their mind. And it's really
Okay.
interesting because both of you, neither one of you wants to hurt the other one by bringing it up, and it's sort of like the relationship isn't growing. It's like it's dying on the vine because nobody's sort of putting any extra input into it anyway. So it's just
Yeah.
interesting that it's just slowly coming to its own conclusion. Sometimes that's the best way for a relationship to end, and not always am I talking about a long distance relationship. Sometimes even a relationship where somebody lives a few streets away can go into
Yeah.
this mode where it sort of just peters out and its own natural ending
Okay.
comes. Look, I don't feel that it's a bad thing. I do think that you've learnt a lot about yourself. This has been a great experience, and it's something that maybe you may not want to choose to do again, but you've learnt from this. I feel it's going to
That's
go on for
true.
a little bit longer yet. I don't think it's going to peter out this week. I think it's got another 6 to 8 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, and it'll just sort of come to its own natural conclusion. It's really
Okay.
interesting, though, Charmaine, because not long past that, you actually do meet somebody locally that will end up becoming your life partner. And it's like, wow.
I've just had a guy come into my life recently, and he's trying to date me, and I've known him since I was a child, so I'm not really interested because I'm in this long distance relationship. But he's very keen, and he's a good guy, and so it's just been very confusing for me recently. So it's funny you say that.
Yeah, but maybe he's been sent to you by the universe to show you that, hang on a minute, this long distance relationship isn't as super strong or as connected as what you thought it was. He may not necessarily be the one I'm talking about. He might have just been sent along to sort of test the waters, to sort of show you that, hang on a minute, this, relationship that you thought was so super strong, all of a sudden it's built on quicksand instead of, bedrock. So, sometimes things are sent to us to show us things. I'm not saying he's not the one. I'm just saying, you're right to sort of say to yourself, well, hang on a minute, I am in a relationship. I need to sort that first before I look at even going on a date with someone else, because that's just being truthful and honest and respectful of yourself. You wouldn't like somebody to do that to you, so you're not going to do it to
But
them.
that's what I have done. I've told myself that. Yeah.
Yeah. And if this man's
great.
worth his
Thank
salt,
you.
he'll wait to see which way you make decisions. It's not necessarily something that I think you have to make a decision on today. As I said, I feel the long distance relationship is just going to gradually get less and less and less and less until there's sort of literally nothing there. But there's no disagreement, there's no argument. It's sort of, the universe will create the opening, the opportunity will come up. And I actually think it's going to come from him. He'll sort of say something, and then, the conversation flows from there. But it's neither one of you has decided to sort of make contact and end the relationship today. It just organically happens. And I think that's the best way for it to sort of happen. And then there's hard feeling. And you can both move on then with a little bit of a heavy heart, but knowing that it wasn't meant to be, and sort of, wish each other well. And, if you decide to remain friends, that's your choice. I think it's very hard to go back and be friends after you've been lovers, but, that's a personal thing. But, over time, I think that will sort of die down, and, new love is right around the corner. But the other thing, just quickly before we go, Charmaine, they were showing me, are you making changes to where you're living? Have you been doing some redecorating? Yep. Okay. They're saying to me that's a good thing. That's good therapy. That's helping you,
it's
clear
been
your
the best thing. It's like a lovely home. It's bigger, more space. It's so nice.
Yeah.
It's changed me, actually. I've got a new job, and things are going really well for me right now.
Well, that's good, because that's what was meant to happen. You know what I mean? You're spreading your wings, and it's time now for things to sort of fall into place with it. All right, Charmaine, been lovely to talk to you. I have to move on now. We're going to talk with Tammy now in South Jordan in Utah. Are you there, Tammy?
I'm here.
Do you have a question I can work with, please, Tammy?
Well, I just have some health concerns, maybe, or just some guidance.
Okay, but is there a particular question you might want to need to answer? Like, is it love life? Is it job? Is it where I'm living?
Not in that regard. It's mainly about my health.
Okay. All right. Health's a very tricky area, Tammy, because, different laws in different countries don't allow us to talk about health because we're not medical practitioners. But what I can do is look at it on an energetic level, and that quite often gives some pieces to the puzzle that maybe you hadn't thought of or helps you put things into place. What they're showing me is in this last 12 months, energetic wise, your energy's been up and down and all over the place. So is that how you've been feeling? So some days you feel really great, and then the next day you can get out of bed, you feel like you've been run over by a steamroller.
Oh, definitely. I battle that very often.
Yeah. What they're showing me is that, how do I put this? You've had too much stress over too long a period of time that your body and your soul is saying enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just need to be still. I just need to let everything start to level itself out, to balance itself out. So is that how you feel, that your life has been, incredibly stressful in the recent, 10 years?
Yeah, it's been pretty stressful. I've got my mother-in-law, or my mother is living with us right now, and she's got her own health issues, and so it's been really
Right.
stressful for sure.
Yeah, well, I suppose with mum with her health issues and you with your health issues, it's sort of, if we can collide and have a good day, that's probably a miracle, isn't it?
Yeah, we feed off each other's energy really bad.
Yeah, but that's not uncommon, particularly with females, because you quite often find that female energies sort of sink in line. They talk about menstrual cycles and everything end up, sinking in line with two females in a house, even though they may have been in different cycles. So it doesn't surprise me that your energy levels are sort of sinking in line too. Can I be blunt with you, Tammy? Sometimes do you find that your mother's energy is very draining?
Oh, definitely.
And I think that's contributing to, some days where you wake up and you think, oh, I don't really want to get out of bed today. I don't really want to face the world, because
Yeah,
you
I
just sort of
sometimes
feel
try to avoid her, and I feel horrible for doing that.
no, I don't want you to feel horrible for doing that, Tammy. It's called self-survival. If you go down, then who's going to be there for her? Do you know what I mean? If you can't get out of bed, if you get that sick that you can't do anything for her or contribute to the household, then who's going to do it? So this is where it's not, I know you feel terrible because it's your mum and that's a human thing, but you have to put yourself first. You haven't been well. Your energy levels have been all over the place. You've had your own medical issues that you've gone backwards and forwards to doctors for. And from what I'm picking up, there hasn't been a lot of answers there. Is that what you've been finding, that nobody's coming up with any great conclusions and treatment plans?
Right.
Yeah, look, I think we're going to get some breakthroughs here in a minute. Not today, but, soon, Tammy. I want to say to you very conclusively, you are not imagining what you're going through. And if any medical practitioners tried to tell you it's all in your head or there's nothing conclusive or maybe, you just had a bad day, then take that with a grain of salt and move on. Find somebody else that will listen to you. There is definitely, from what I'm seeing in your soul, there is definitely a physical reason why your energy has been bouncing all over the place and why you've had the different symptoms that you've had. It is not your imagination. You're not trying to get out of being a dutiful daughter or not trying to participate in the world. These are very real symptoms. So I think it's just a matter of continuing on to try and find somebody that will actually listen to you and get to the bottom of the issues. I know August is a long way off from March, but what they're showing me is by August this year, you're jumping out of your skin. You're full of energy. You're full of, your skin looks good. Your hair looks good. You sort of feel as if you've got a brand new lease on life. Now, the only thing that can bring that is somebody finally getting to the bottom of what's causing your energy to be up and down like a yo-yo, and your different symptoms that you've been experiencing is getting a treatment plan, is getting to the bottom of it, is to fix the problem.
Well,
So
actually, I started to see a new OB, and she did an ultrasound, and she found a concerning mass that I've going to be working with, and maybe doing a partial hysterectomy next month. And I'm hoping that's going to cause or resolve a lot of my issues. But
well, that's good, because if it's women's problems, and going and having surgery will certainly help that situation. And and you know, that in itself, when you've got those sort of issues coming up, they are very emotionally draining. And you know, it's not something to be, yes, I mean, any surgery is a risk, but it's not something to be frightened of, or that you're going to feel like less of a woman or anything like that. You know, if you remove those things that have been causing you such distress and draining your energy out of you, then you're going to start to feel better once you get over the, you know, the post-operative period. You're going to start to feel that, you know, even your hormones and your energy and your thinking becomes clearer, and your skin will become clearer, and you'll have more energy, because at the moment everything's being drained out of you. But I just know by August you're going to be jumping out of your skin, Tammy, and you're going to be feeling a lot better than what you were, and emotionally you're a lot stronger, and that sort of then gives you another, you know, set of coping mechanisms to be able to deal with your mum and her health issues. I don't know that long-term wise mum's going to be with you, in like residing in the house with you. I think that there's another place for her to move to. Is that something that's been talked about?
She just got out of rehab center, and we have been talking about that. But then she decided, let's just live together. So, but she's always back and forth on
now.
it.
But I think by the end of this year, I think things are going to change, and it's sort of something your mum wants to do. It's, you know, she's the one making the decision. You're not pushing her out, or, you know, please don't feel that you're pushing her out. She's the one that's making a decision of what she wants to do with the next part of her life. Like, she's ready to go on her next adventure, which is good. Anyway,
Right.
Tammy, that's how we're going to leave it. So, but I wish you all the best with your, you know, future surgeries and everything like that, but your health will definitely improve, sweetie. So we've come to the end of the show. It's always difficult when people are facing health issues, and you've got family, and, you know, you feel as if you're very overwhelmed. You know, you're trying to get through your own day and sort out, you know, your own stuff with, and not, you know, feel guilty about, gee, I haven't been as happy or as helpful as I should have been to another household member. Sometimes we have to take care of us. We are the most important person. If we don't take care of us, then how can we take care of someone else? And that's not being selfish. That's called, you know, looking after yourself and putting yourself first, so that then you can be the very, very best you can be, and the most helpful you can be to someone else. And it's really interesting that how, you know, we always sort of think, oh, I shouldn't be selfish, shouldn't be this, I shouldn't be that. So this week I want to leave you with a song that's one of my ultimate favourites. Look, I've got lots of favourite songs. I'm a real music fanatic. But this particular song has been a song that's been around for a very, very long time. And every time I hear it, it just sort of makes me feel warm and fuzzy. And I think we should all try and bring a little bit more about what this particular lady sings about into our everyday life. And it's Diana Ross, and it's Reach Out and Touch somebody's hand and make this world a better place if you can. And I think if we all did that, if we all reached out and touched somebody's hand and tried to make their day a little bit better, it then flows on to us, and the energy becomes really, really positive. So until next week, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Bye for now.